go.
Streaming from South Africa to the world. This is the Stonks Go Moon podcast. What just happened? We break it down so you don't have to.
Welcome everyone to the Stonks Go Moon podcast. My guest today, Jeroen de Koninck. He is the founder of Preppaly. Welcome to the pod.
Hey, Luco. How are you doing?
It feels amazing to finally get to speak to you. I've been following you on LinkedIn for a while, and I promise you the day that you launch Preppaly, I'm going to have you on the show. We're a bit late, but finally we got around to it. Let's unpack Preppaly a bit. First of all, for the listeners listening, maybe they don't know what it is. What exactly is it?
So Preppally is basically a platform that will help individuals and more specifically young professionals that are looking to land a role in sales or marketing at a tech company. So I'm really focusing on helping individuals via skilled learning, via mentorship, via other matchmaking, to basically find a job similar to the jobs I've been doing myself at companies like Pinterest and Google, and accelerate their career to basically start in sales marketing within tech companies.
Okay, so I'm not going to ask you why is Pinterest or video for Pinterest not available in Africa yet. I'm just going to subtly skip.
So many times, so many times, Luco. So many times. I still don't know. It's coming.
Subtly skip over that one. What made you? Okay, so you're in tech, right? But what made you decide? This is something that I want to do, or this is something that I want to bring to life. Because as anyone that's ever built something will know, it's not just something that, hey, I wake up one day and there I go. And it's also not something that you take on just willy-nilly, because it's a lot of work. So what was that for you?
So I would say there are two main reasons, and the first one is I'm from Belgium, and whenever you study in Belgium or whatever you do in Belgium, people always will tell you, don't take too much risk. So everyone starts their career traditionally. They go to, if they're successful, they go to a Deloitte, PwC, AB InBev, Unilever, whatever company. And what I really noticed in my group of friends is that a lot of people are actually very set in the role they're doing currently. They really don't like the day in, day out. It's very hard to progress. Salaries are relatively low compared to, for example, big tech companies. So my first thing was that I was mentoring around 50 plus individuals that were trying to change their career into tech companies. And at some point, I just didn't have the time anymore to help people. So I thought okay, why not monetizing this? And why not doing something that I can actually earn something on the side? So that's one aspect. And the other aspect is that I think tech companies, historically, they've been hiring a lot from top business schools, let's say MIT's, Harvard's, whatever, London School of Economics. And there is a whole pool of talent and a whole pool of diverse talent that is actually not enabled to even start applying for a role at a tech company, because they believe from their inner circle they're either not good enough, they don't have the connections, they don't have the network. And I basically want to enable those people to take their chances on themselves to evaluate, increase their career, and feel confident into applying to tech companies. So it's a two-sided thing. I think there is a gap from the companies. They have very limited talent pool and they have a lot of applications, but it's always the same kind of people. And then the other aspect is that I just think there is a need for people to think beyond the borders and beyond the scope of what is traditionally told them that is a good career path.
I think actually you said it's a Belgian thing, but I've got a lot of German friends and they are sitting with the same thing. It's like the Germans are extremely risk adverse. They will go and work at BMW and just stay there their whole career. So I think it's very cool to me that what you're doing, and I think there's a great potential across Europe actually. When you were looking at sort of funding and how to gather the funds to start this project, what sort of avenues did you try to explore, or how did you do it?
it's an absolute crazy thing that I think that I wouldn't consider myself risk averse, but one thing I'm potentially risk averse with is money. So I always think if I can do it myself, I will do it myself. So I basically bootstrapped the whole company. And I started this project somewhere in 2020 during COVID. Like everyone, I had too much time. I was faking that I was working, all of that stuff. No, I'm kidding. But I basically had like all of the time and the resources to do it. So I spent 18 months developing the platform. So I had no coding background. I learned myself how to code. I spent tremendous hours figuring out how things can work. I started creating marketing, copywriting, looking at a lot of other examples. And even up until now, I'm a one-man business or a one-person business. I've of course like people that help me left and right. But there is no funding involved. And if I'm fair, like also something I would tell to everyone, like nowadays, if you want to launch a company, you don't need €1,000.
Yes.
You can, especially something that is coaching or mentoring, you can literally do it with a Google form. And I think that's the beauty of the whole digital age we're living in. So I bootstrapped the whole thing myself, and I had some companies reaching out for like startup programs, and they take like a percentage of equity. But I'm just at this point in time, I'm like, I don't need it. I want to grow my user base granularly, and I have time. And then we will see at some point in time if it requires potentially future funding in order to scale it out.
Yes. Tell me, was there like a major obstacle that in this process, you talked about learning to code and stuff like that, but just before launch or like a couple of months before launch, was there a major obstacle that you didn't foresee?
Apart from the times that I recognized that I had to take a backup of code because I lost so much of my code because I was trying things out and I'm breaking the whole database and starting from scratch again with some scrappy backup that I had. I would say that if I would go back in time, I focused a lot on product. Like I was focusing a lot on like creating this thing, how to make it scalable to the whole of EMEA. And indeed, like I can see the sign. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna launch 1st of May. I launched the product, and then I was sitting there, like this.
Yes.
Where are my customers? Where are my customers? Freaking annoying. And I think that's the one thing that I would have changed is I would have spent way more time in gathering potential customers months before I launched the product. Because now it's getting started. I think I'm getting some revenue. I'm helping some people. But in the end, it's like I could have done that initial sourcing without a product. Yeah. So
you're absolutely 100% correct, and I think anyone bootstrapping a business is, and it's not just you, it's a lot of people so focused on product, execution, and then getting to the point of saying, okay, so cool, what now? So what have you been doing? You talked about, talk to me about the what now. What are you focused on doing now to sort of get the word out there?
To get the word out, I strongly believe in the whole platform. In my opinion, it will stand and fall on network effects.
Yes.
Because my dream basically is, as I said before, like I want to enable people to get into tech companies. Yes. I want to enable a diverse pool to get into tech companies. So what I don't want to have is high entry barriers. And I also think that's a big differentiator. And now I'm going to make a bit of marketing, but it's more like it's a big differentiator with other platforms is that a lot of other platforms, what they do is they either are super expensive, so they exclude a lot of people out of the market, or they have a no cure, no pay model. But if you have to pay and if you get cured, you pay a lot of money because you pay like 10%, 15% on your first year salary.
Yes. Wow.
So what I need to do in order to sustainably monetize without compromising on that idea that I have about that it should be accessible, is basically get my user base. And I do that via content marketing, I do that via affiliate programs, I do it via referrals. And I started this week a bit of like digital advertising, very focused as well. But it's really about getting in the first users that are willing to try the platform. And everyone so far that got on the platform is super positive about it, which is also leading to other people coming to the platform. And that is the play that I have now, because at some point in time in the future, when I'm gonna open up the B2B side, which is basically gonna connect it back to those companies hiring, that is where I would prefer to make revenue instead of a B2C customer segment where people have to pay to get training to get their dream job. I think it's up to the companies to pay for talent or to pay for enabling talent to apply for them instead of the other way around.
Makes sense. Talk to me about the people coming through the platform. What types of professionals are you seeing that are looking to make a change in the industry? Don't have to give too much away, but just for interest's sake.
So it's mostly people, I would say up to 12 years of experience. So I'm really looking at like career starters. So it's both like graduates, because of obvious reasons, but it's also I really try to focus on those individuals that are in, I don't know, 3-4 years of their career that are now like, okay, I'm fed up. I hate it. I hate to eat my croissant on the morning on the metro, have my coffee that I pay $5 for, that really want to change whatever they're doing. And it's that audience that I try to target. And I focus specifically on basically anything outside of the US. And it's not a very in-depth focus. And but anyone that's like outside of the US, that is my target geography. Why? Because I think there are a lot of competitors of this in the US. They're already well established.
Yes.
That are working with a very different revenue model for themselves and a very different pricing. Plus that the fact that I'm in Europe, there are less players, that's one thing. And then secondly as well, is like my network within tech, within Europe is way bigger than in the US, which also allows me to give a way better service to the clients. And to the ones that wants to land a job, because it's for me like I live in Dublin, man. Like I walk outside of my door. I don't know if you've ever been in Dublin, but it's a small. I can say it's a city, but a lot of other countries wouldn't consider it a city. And it's just like you walk out, you're in Facebook. You walk 5 meters, you're in Salesforce. You can do the hustling on the street.
Yes.
So that's my target segment.
You talked about taking, so I'm laughing, it's gonna get so much shit about Dublin. Is it a city? It's you talked about taking the metro and commuting to work, and I think that's a lot of these things are coming out of COVID, right? Because before COVID or pre-COVID, none of this was an issue, and now we're seeing all these general legacy issues of people they've sat for 2 years with their own thoughts. They've sort of had to contemplate, what is it that I want in life? What is it that I value? What is it that I want? Do I want to spend 2 hours or 4 hours commuting back in, from work? Do I want to stay in the city where I am? And this is where I feel this crux of work from home versus the tech companies that want people to go back to the offices, which they're paying a very big amount for landlords, or that sometimes they own the buildings, but they want people to come back. How is this dynamic gonna play out, do you think?
The whole remote work dynamic.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think the beauty of COVID is that we actually finally accelerated the fact that we have like, okay, e-commerce, we have we can do things digitally, man. Like it's just on a side note, like I'm building currently on a project with a guy in Venezuela. I mean, never saw the guy, amazing person, and it's so easy to reach out, and it really enabled me to reach out. But coming back to your question, I think in one of the beauties about the whole working remotely is that basically talent from everywhere in the world can apply. And I think that's also why this market is so big, is that before you could enable people in order to land a job at tech companies, but now you can enable people outside of the countries where those companies are hiring. And all of the companies that are currently not hiring remotely, in my personal opinion, they will lose the war on talent. Like I know it's very cliche, but at least in the short run now, I believe it's one of the biggest competitive advantages you can have as a company if you hire remotely. And even if you have a hybrid model, it's just like bringing that flexibility to the market is good. And I think most of or a lot of the tech companies are doing this already, giving a lot of flexibility. For example, I have amazing opportunities from Pinterest. I can work 90 days remotely from anywhere in the world. And I think one of the reasons it's like not yet fully remote, especially in Europe, it has to do with legal framework, with tax framework. And it's the world is not built yet to work remotely. Like, I don't know if you ever moved countries, but opening a bank account, like getting your tax set up, fixing everything on a customer, employee-employer contract, it is so unstandardized, and no one has a clue about how to do it. So the safe play is we're gonna not allow it yet, but I think the future is gonna go there.
Oh, interesting. Talk to me, before I let you leave, talk to me about the onboarding process for Preppaly, because it's useless asking you for actionable tips for people looking for work, because I think platforms like yourself is giving people that are remote. Look, we're having this podcast. I'm in South Africa. It's like we would never have this opportunity if not for the remote space. So if, let's say I want a job in tech, right? And talk to me about the process that I need to follow if I want to use Preppaly, and how would that work?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's not a I would at this point in time normally sell you a demo, but I'm not a B2B SaaS product. So no, I'm kidding. Like, it's literally like if you go to the platform, so it's preppaly.com with double P, and you go to the platform itself, it's actually super easy. Like, you can register an account, and you can instantly start learning. There are two different ways of getting onboarded, which is one aspect, and that's currently it's basically scaled. It's an e-learning, and it's obviously like still customized to the person's needs. Like, you can literally just go to the platform, you click 3 times, and you can buy a product, and you can start learning yourself, or you can go to the website and start like the free lessons, and basically get up to the point that you can decide for yourself if this is something for you or not. So that's one stream of like setting up your account and starting. The other thing is that, as I said before, I really want to solve as well for the whole diversity aspect, and the fact that we have to have a broader group of people that we can reach in order to apply. So there is also mentorship available, which basically works the same as like applying for a job. Like, you have to fill in a form, you have to submit your CV, you have to submit basically your reasoning and why. And then I select every 2 months, I select a cohort of people that then get into like free mentoring, and I will just help them. Like, there is no monetary value for me. It's really about going back to the network effects I said earlier. It's about getting those people in, because they're so crucial as well for tech companies itself to grow their business. So that's a bit the onboarding.
That sounds very easy. Thank you so much for joining me today. If the listeners want to go connect with you and find out more about Preppaly, where can they do that?
Everywhere. Like, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn. But no, the best thing is definitely LinkedIn, and as well my own profile on LinkedIn. You can always send me a message. Like, I have an urge to reply to everyone because I love serendipity and I love to connect with new individuals. And otherwise, if you go to the website, it's preppaly.com, and you can basically find all the social channels. You can reach out to me. I would love to understand anyone who even is checking the website. Like, drop me your story, tell me what you want to do, like, tell me where you are today, where you want to be in the future, and I will see what I can do and how I can help you and what is the best way moving forward. So it's just connect. Like it's I think the first thing, or one of the last things actually in the course in the platform that I'm saying is everything depends on network and how to reach out and cold reach out to individuals, because there is you don't have to do it alone. Don't be like me bootstrapping the product. Don't bootstrap your career completely alone. Use the resources that are in the market.
It's not a game more. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. de Koninck, go and visit Preppaly. You might just find your next job there. You never know. Thank you so much for joining me. To our listeners, peace, love, and prosperity. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.